So today we are very pleased to listen to Claudio and to Hernán. Claudio and Hernán will explain their roles within Banco Credicorp in their presentation, I believe. Think so. Also, we will get an exclusive insight into how Banco Credicorp tackled the challenges during the pandemic and how they reinforced its collaborative culture. So Claudio and Hernán, the floor is yours. You should be also able to share your screen. We tried earlier. Thank you so much.
Bueno, buenos días.
Good morning again to all of you who just joined. The truth is that we're very, very, very thankful to CIBP, with whom we have an intense relationship throughout the last 5 years. And the truth is that through these very brief encounters, there are many chances to share knowledge. We want to contribute with a small grain of sand within the cooperative and popular banks with a very concrete experience, just as Brigitte said. Now we'll continue very briefly. For those of you who don't know us, I am not going to highlight each of the data that we're sharing with you on this slide about our organization, of which we were quite proud, but I would like to highlight some specific aspects. To begin, in the first one, we're the only cooperative bank in Argentina, in the Republic of Argentina. This fills us with pride, commitment, and at the same time responsibility, because we identify with a transformative cooperativism and in relation to where we are, in relation to the broadening of the conditions and banking services in all of the communities where we interact. One of the slogans of the bank is, and this is not a marketing slogan, but of truth, it's the money of Argentinians is in the hands of Argentinians. So I thought it was interesting to share that, because in the bank ecosystem, as you see below, we're talking about 50 private banks. We are defined as a bank of public services, of non-governmental management. The other point I want to highlight are the almost 3,800 managers or partners or associates of the bank, whom in a completely free of pay way co-direct the organization of our bank, being part of the various elements of participation the bank has, starting from the committees of associates and going up to the management of our bank. These are associates, that is, people who have an account and interact with our organization and participate in a democratic and efficient way in our bank. And lastly, as part of our challenge, not to talk about all of the different numbers we show, but I want to highlight the effort we have as a cooperative institution in the regional and local economies. We're the fourth bank in the amount of branch offices in the Republic of Argentina. The information is provided as of June of this year. The branch numbers are the same. Probably we have improved some of them, because from other private sectors, for example, they have closed branches or service centers. We have not. Let's continue. Let's tell you about the team. We have the commercial and analytics unit. We have 5 different teams reporting to us, one devoted to analytical models, commercial platforms, and data enrichment. The other one has to do with strategic analysis and relationship models. That is, we accompany the different areas who interact with the associates and see how we can record or document the model the bank wants to relate with. The area of commercial, Solutions is an area that we call designer services, and the area of user experience. Many more than one of you know what this is about. It includes what is known as market research or the analysis of the environment. The third team is the team of the commercial management department. It's made up by Hernán Piceni, who will be talking about the case we're going to speak about today. As you see, this is a team mainly focused on accompanying and developing all of the different policies of strategy and commercialization of our organization. We're strongly oriented towards our associates or affiliates, and because that's the reason we exist. So Hernán, I'll give you the microphone. Okay, thank you, Claudio, very much. We're going to begin, and the idea is to talk about the role of the commercial department, the role we played during the pandemics in our bank. As we all know, the COVID pandemics caused significant changes in the labor life of people around the world. Within that framework, our bank highlighted the relevance of the inclusion of people in the coordination of all of its pandemic-driven operation. The result of adapting to the new work forms was very successful. Together with the telephone call center, our department increased its staff significantly, and it generated and designed new roles and allocated new responsibilities in relation to the tasks we had to carry out before the pandemics. The commercial management department before the pandemics had to provide support to the different branches of the bank, but only on demand whenever the branches required it, with a very limited scope as to what we did within the country. Most of our operations were basically destined for the metropolitan area of Buenos Aires, the city of Buenos Aires, and our participation in the commercial objectives of the branches were very limited. During the pandemic, the situation we had to solve was specifically that the branches of the bank had a significant number of people or staff whom, because of many reasons, could not be present and could not carry out their tasks. So what we wanted to do was to provide occupation for the staff who had no tasks that were meaningful, those who were not able to carry out their normal activities, as well as incorporating new technologies and maintaining and strengthening the connection with our members. Throughout our presentation, we're going to see that this connection with the different affiliates is repeated in different instances, and not as a redundance, but because this notion of keeping close to our members, to our associates, is true throughout the organization. In relation to our role, as I just said, we, together with the call center, assume new responsibilities, among them evolving the various profiles of the individuals who had no tasks allocated. Most of them were people whom for a long time had carried out tasks in the cash or the treasury of the different branch offices. They were in the administrative area, who had never been involved in commercial tasks. And there was also specificity, and it was that we had many people who were close to retirement. So during the pandemics, what we did was generate a reallocation, a reassignment of tasks, and develop new skills as a policy of labor inclusion in the bank. From there on, we started to uh, generate service selling tasks for people and companies. For example, credit cards, treasury management products. These products are to carry out collections and payments for the companies. And in addition to that, we implemented a process of activation of those processes to provide continuity and a follow-up to ensure their use. For all of that to be possible, and before anything, we had to do a lot of teamwork with the human resources management. Without their support, it would have probably not been possible in the way it happened. We created new teams for commercial operation. They were done remotely, both through the telephone and through Zoom. And we began and started an enormous process of training and education for all of the employees who were included in these new teams and these new methodologies so they could face the challenges. And a key aspect, of course, during the whole transition is to promote internal cooperation, encouraging new ideas. The focus, as I just said, was to remain close with our affiliates, with our members. And something we want to highlight is that during all of this process, we had within the department more than 300 individuals working under this new dynamics, this new approach. In relation to the outcome or the results of the new process, our teams provided support and active help to all of the branches of the bank nationwide. We participated actively in the definition of the commercial operations with our members. We generated the summons and the invites together with the affiliates. We coordinated with the branch offices, I'm sorry. We coordinated the virtual meetings with the members of the different branch offices, and we also carried out the follow-up after the meetings and in relation to each one of the products so that all of the members or all of the associates had the proper support to implement the product. We established through this logistics a dedicated team reinforcing what we were trying to do. We understood that some of the processes demanded a post-sales management without the presential or the person-to-person contact was difficult to carry out. And that's why we created this team. It continues to exist today, and it works in a very, very good way, and it continues to provide that support. And to mention some of the achievements and results that I'm talking about during the pandemics, we provided support to the 276 branch offices of the bank throughout the country. We carried out more than 3,300 meetings through Zoom with over 12,000 participants. We made more than 2 million phone calls in aspects related to how to relate with the members to maintain that contact that we had prior to the pandemics. And in the commercial area, we provided more than 5,000 products of collections and products where the companies registered, and more than 10,000 products insurance, and other types of assistance. After all of that, when we came back to the office and as we started to take over the normal activities, our department now has a nationwide scope and has new responsibilities, things that we didn't do before the pandemics. Today, we have strong teams with a very solid methodology that has become the normal. We have increased the impact we generate through the commercialization of our products and the commercial targets of each of the branch offices we interact. And we've also transformed ourselves in a benchmark team for future coverages in the commercial posts of the branches. Of course, our objective is to continue strengthening our relationships with our members. What you can see here is the structure and the design of our department as it was before and how it changed and what it is today. Before we had two large teams. One was in charge of the companies, the SMEs, and the other one of individuals or people that was on demand. And from the branch offices, we provided basically support. However, today, the teams manage in a very proactive way. We continue to work with companies with a greater development today. We have a team that attends businesses and professional and social organizations. We have sales teams that articulate and manage commercialization processes in a joint manner with the affiliates or branch offices and provide support to the branch offices, to the ones who don't have a sales personnel for that specific product. And from the pandemics on, we created a special team in charge of implementing all of the products that are commercialized by our department. And to a large part of the follow-up until the product is completely installed to be operational, for them to use it. What did we learn? Lessons learned during the pandemics, there are many, and we want to highlight the most important ones. The first one, of course, is what we call inclusive reengineering or policy through this process. We call it inclusive engineering, and it has to do with providing in an inclusive way new knowledge and new competencies to the different staff that were taskless, and from there to give them an occupation that was valuable to the organization. And from that concept on, of course, teamwork together with other different management areas of our bank, the enhancement of competencies. All of the people involved in the process have a more sound basis of new knowledge and skills that prepares them and provides them the tools to face new challenges. And of course, part of the things we learn, we believe that it's possible to improve what we have. Today, this is a continuous improvement process, and through our integral education and providing resources to the members of our department, we have continued with this ongoing challenge to elevate the performance of all of the members of our teams. And lastly, there is a conclusion about what we learned from this process that we lived through the pandemics. And I'll leave that to Claudio, who will do the closure of the meeting, and then we'll have a question and answer session. Okay, thank you, Hernán. there's little more to add. We thought that it was important to end with a message that even though this extraordinary event like a pandemic occurred, even if we had to provide solutions to our members through virtual remote solutions. That had been done in a very limited way in our organization before, and we did not depart from our principles and values of the cooperative bank. And this allowed us to overcome this challenge. And as Hernán said, to find a way to find solutions that provided value to the members and to the employees in a given moment of time. We're all together, and those who are not in the everyday operations, we were able to interact with the staff, with the call center, with the telephone contact center, with the people from operations and processes. The truth is that there were many things, and I don't want to continue because probably I'll forget some of them, but basically, all of this scenario allowed us, as we say, to reinterpret the idea of closeness and to strengthen the message of inclusion at all the levels of the organization, both in-house and outside. Nothing else, and I thank you very much. And you will have our contact information at the end of the presentation if you need to, for us to expand on some topic. And of course, we're there for you.
Well, thank you so much to Hernán and to Claudio for this really informative presentation. Very interesting insights. I personally have some questions, but I let first our member, or maybe you from Banco Credit Corp also have questions. I don't know, maybe you do. So please feel free to ask or to write it in the chat.
You can also make comments.
Or give feedback. Well, if you don't have a question.
I do have a question,
okay,
actually. Sorry.
Go ahead, Juliana.
It's because I made some notes I was reviewing here. So when you guys look ahead, what plans do, or what objectives, let's say plans, do Banco Credit Corp have to further strengthen your commitment to inclusion and diversity, especially in response to these future crises? I don't know if it's clear.
Sí, absolutamente.
Yes, it's absolutely clear. We have not foreseen any changes from what we've been doing. We have to adapt and continue strengthening the inclusion message. That's why my words at the closing, when I said, without moving away from our principles and values of solidarity and cooperativism that are always there, we defined a solution. That does not mean that on the day-to-day, we don't have that inclusion model or of thinking of the other, so we can work as a team. Of course, including all the improvements that could exist. However, if we still have another scenario of complexity or crisis, open quotes, we know a lot about crisis in Argentina, close brackets, because, well,
Yeah.
but we are always using this inclusive way of looking at things. That's why we have this message of inclusive re-engineering, because the concept of re-engineering in human resources in the market usually means exclusion more than inclusion.
Mhm.
So we wanted to strengthen the fact that in our case, it was an inclusive re-engineering policy.
Yeah, it's amazing what you did. I mean,
See,
I saw you did, I'm sorry, I'm gonna like a structure in one of the slides where you had before and after. And I saw many, it seems, if I understood correctly, a lot went to sales. You relocated a lot of people to sales, if I understood correctly. That before and after slide, can you explain a bit more? I saw there was a DCG. Yes, that one. Because I saw you had people, personas, and then in the after it was a bit different. But you have a lot of sales there. So can you explain this one a bit more? Sorry to make you go back.
Sí, adelante, Hernán.
okay, Hernán. Yes, when we allocated staff to sales, basically this is related to the way of managing the department. The commercial operations department, before the pandemics, we operated through a logistics. We only provided support on demand to the branches if they, because of any reason, were not able to carry out that job or that task. For example, because it might imply a large volume of people or areas that were very remote or things that the branch office could not carry out. So in that instance, we were called in, and from there on, we started to act. After the pandemics or during the pandemics, as we went through the pandemics, we started to see that there was operations that could be done proactively and that we could contribute with value to the different commercial aspects and objectives of the branch offices of the bank without waiting for the on demand of the branch office call. That's why we increased the amount of resources we have now on the sales team. The way we do the process today is understood as a stage that's before sales, as a sales process, and a post-sales process. And in all of that, we have a process of relationship with the associates, with the members, and we really emphasize that. And we decided to provide a lot of value to this. For us, this relationship process means more than just selling a product to an individual or a company or a financial solution to a specific segment. For us, the commercialization process implies to create a long-term relationship. That's why we devote so many resources, not only in amount, but in quality, to all of this process of relationships. On the other hand, many of the people who were part of this contingency because of the pandemics today are part of the structure of the stable and normal staff of our department. And with this situation, we're very happy to have that. And we're glad that it continues.
Yeah, well, that's great. I mean, as you mentioned, during a pandemic, what can happen is a lot of, I'd say like exclusion, and you did the opposite, which was the inclusion. So very nice. Congrats on that.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have a question or a comment? Otherwise, I will ask. I have a question. So, Claudio and Hernán, what for you personally? I mean, I know this question is very general, but was for you personally the biggest challenge in adapting to these new circumstances during the pandemic? And then also you mentioned the trainings that you carried out for these people. How did you do it? Was this internal? Did you have internal training, or did you have to bring somebody from a third party in? How did you do it?
¿Arrancamos, Hernán? ¿O... ¿Sí?
Hernán, do you want to take the question? Well, everything was a great challenge. I think, first of all, none of us was prepared for what happened, not only us, but we as an organization, but as people, as individuals, we were not prepared for not being able to leave home, to continue working in a remote environment every day. I think that everything was really a big challenge, a great challenge. In our specific case, in the commercial management department, I think the challenge was enormous to be able to bring to a level the competency, the skill levels to face the challenge. As I mentioned during the presentation, we received individuals from different sectors from the whole bank who had different backgrounds, different experiences, different age groups, different knowledge, skills, and so forth. All of them came into our department. And so I think that was perhaps the biggest challenge, to be able to reach a similar level for everybody and for all of us to understand what was happening, to be able to face what was coming. The sessions were all internal. That's why I want to highlight the value of human resources, not only in the support they provided to help us go through this crisis period, because it was a crisis period, and also because it was not only the labor related issues, but also each one had their own pandemics, people they had to be worried about or concerned about, family members who had prior illnesses, adults in the family group. And so for us, the support provided by human resources was very important from the humane standpoint and also from the labor standpoint. The trainings were great. Part was given by the managers of human resources, another part specifically about products and more technical issues about the financial solutions, and the niches were given by the macro segments. For example, from the personnel banking area, they gave us training about the different businesses and the different professionals, and it was very useful and of great help. Then we installed a permanent and constant training process where we were always being updated, and we tried to occupy an important role as to human contention, because in addition to the work-related things in our country and in the world, there were things related to health that I don't want to bring up, but that were difficult. So I'd say that our biggest challenge was that, to be able to reach one similar level between the many particularities of the different teams that came into the area.
Thank you, Hernán. Clear.
I know this is a minor detail, but it's a curiosity we have. Do you still have people working from home since the pandemic? I know this is a little apart from the topic, but speaking of pandemic issues that we faced.
El banco hizo la respuesta corta y
The
directa.
short answer, direct answer is no. I mean, we had a process of coming back to personal attendance that was done little by little, and right now we're all working from the offices, especially the ones, the people in the commercial management. As Hernán said, there is a part of the team who is not in the city of Buenos Aires, but in the innermost part of the country. They provide support to the different labor posts allocated or assigned to them. There's only one team in the Credicorp Bank who works in a remote way, and it's because of specific conditions. And it's the, I think you said informality area, but the rest of the people all work in person at the offices. This does not mean, and this is interesting to add, that we have lost the expertise we earned previously in relation to doing our presentations or commercialization through virtual tools. For example, the efficiency of providing information either to sell a treasury management product or to provide support in a training process to the complete sales team. We continue to do that virtually through virtual remote tools.
Oh, nice. Yes, we gain experience, so we can still use what helps us. But yeah, many companies here also came back full-time in person. See, Claudio, we have a hybrid situation, but it's because we hired a lot of people, so we don't fit in the office anymore.
So Claudia and Hernán, did you hire also additional people during the pandemic, or were you able to distribute the persons?
No, no contratamos a nadie durante la pandemia.
No, we didn't hire anyone during the pandemics. Everything was done through the reorganization of the work teams that we had. I'm losing his audio. I lost his audio. Okay. As Hernán said, people reorganized in new tasks, and part were able to go back to their jobs at the branch offices. Another part became members, definite or full-time members of Hernán's team. And there's another part that continues to be a remote team. That's when a branch office needs specific coverage, they give quick support, and they would become part of the staff of that branch office.
Thank you, Claudio. Very efficient. Thank you. Does anybody else have a question or a comment?
Como siempre decimos, incluso si surgiesen
As we
preguntas,
say, even if there are questions or any consultation, you can make them later. That's why we have our emails, Hernán and my own, at the end of the presentation. And Brigitte or Valeria, you know that the communication channels are open and that we are there for whatever you need.
Thank you so much, Claudio, for your openness and availability. Thank you. You will, of course, receive the presentation by email later today. And so if there are no other questions for now, thank you for joining today. Thank you for Claudio and Hernán for your wonderful presentation. Thank you. Very, very informative and very interesting. And also to our interpreter, thank you so much. Maria Claudio, for your interpretation. And I hope to see you again soon for the next Spark. So this was the last Spark of the year. I wish you a good end of the year and hope to see you soon. Thank you.
Yes. Feliz fin de año para todos y todas.
I hope you have a nice end of the year, everybody. Goodbye, and thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you.